How much does regret work into kind of like your life decisions? I'm not talking about like regret as in like things you regret doing, but rather there's this philosophy that I have where I think of myself, my future self, looking back at me now. And it's more like I don't want to be at that age in the future regretting not having done something that I have the chance to do right now. So how much does that work into your life decision making?
You know, it's funny you mention that because I always feel like we used to call it the pavilion. Under the pavilion, where I'm from, and it's a park where people go underneath this structure and they shoot dice or they're talking, they're drinking. And I remember being a kid and playing basketball outside summer days, and these older men would always talk about things that they wish they would have done and never did. They always talked about, what I could have been and how I could have done this and I could have gone to the league or I could have made this, cool, idea for this venture and became a millionaire and they're tipping their Mad Dogs or their 40s or, they're continuing to do the things that is prohibiting them from getting to where they said they could have done or they could have been or where they could have went. And as a kid, you see that and you want to do the opposite of that, and I guess I saw myself through their eyes of looking at myself and saying, am I really happy where I am? Did I really maximize what I was capable of doing? Did I go after this or did I just stay comfortable? And, sometimes in order I have found for me to hit certain levels of my life, being uncomfortable is so important. I train uncomfortable. Like after this podcast, I'm going to go home, I'm going to train outside. It might be windy and raining and not going to care because life, you're going to deal with adversity even in the things that you feel is the most, accomplished is that the struggle never ends. There's always going to be pressures. There's always going to be things that are going to be, against you, but you still have to fight through the currents regardless. You know what I'm saying? You think these people that are billionaires or huge in their professions don't have pressure? They have tons of pressure. They have payroll, they have expectations, all these things that they have to meet and they have to hit. And in order, I feel, to prepare yourself, you got to put yourself through tests of your own willpower and your own things. And so when you get to those levels of success, it didn't phase you. It's like, Michael Jordan had a philosophy, I practice. My practices were even more intense. The things I did in practice was more, I guess, to the naked eye, like remarkable. But it made the games that much more easy because I put myself through that. And I think that's what it comes down to as far as looking back on things that I wish I would have done or could have done. Well, now I'm pushing the envelope. I've lived this the life of having a salary and working for a company, and I was miserable. I wasn't happy. I was miserable because there was so much more I wanted to do, and I felt like this was limiting me from that. And I said, well, I can either stay with this job or go out here and gamble on homelessness, gamble on not having enough, gamble on all this stuff to have that opportunity to be on set with an iced tea, the opportunity to be on set at NCIS LA working with Marty Deeks, the opportunity to, do these cool things that I've done in Houston and being in films and stuff for this misery that I'm putting myself through, but the reward, even if it's like a small amount, means so much more. It's better than being comfortable and thinking back to myself, like you said, what if I would have tested myself more?
Yeah. So there's actually a saying that I sent Mostaffa today, and that said, the real risk is not doing nothing. Right. I'm sorry, is doing nothing. Right. The real risk is doing nothing. So like, I feel like everything that you just said right now is that regret, that potential thing of like when you were young, of the old heads basically telling you, oh, I should have done this and I could have done that and I was this and I was that. Mm-hmm. You're just getting all that inspiration now to be like, all right, cool. Now I'm of age. Now I'm physically capable. I'm mentally capable. I got this time. Now is the time that they were talking about they wish that they were in, right? So it's like, all right, bet. Am I just going to fast forward to their life? Or am I going to fast forward to a life that they wish they had?
Right. And also, too, this is the life that I was chosen to live. You know, I do believe in a higher power. I believe in God. I was raised in the church growing up. My mom made sure that I had a relationship with Jesus. You know, and understanding that in any kind of pursuit for a blessing, you're going to have ups and downs, peaks and valleys, but the reward and the blessing is so much greater. But it's not so much the blessing, it's the process. It's the journey. The journey is just as important as the reward. The reward doesn't even mean as much, you know, unless you've gone through something to get there. Think of, if we're going through a football right now, you think of all of these teams that have gone through so many adversities to get to each game, to each playoff experience. And by the end of it, a lot of them are hurt, a lot of them are injured, but when they pulled that trophy up, that's going to mean so much more than just giving it to them. You know, and I think that's just part of it. Like, I think of what I ever would have imagined in my life, sitting in a place where you have men going to an establishment to get whatever fulfillment out of it due to looking at a woman who's half naked. Never would have thought that. But here's the thing. It's a part of my life that's a season, because these people who employ me allow me to go after the things that I want to do and maintain a sense of income while the process is happening. So it's a blessing even in the environment where folks can sit here and say, oh, that's this and that's that. These people have given me an opportunity to keep my income up while I'm pursuing what I'm doing. And that is, to me, that's the path that's chosen, right? And these individuals I've maintained a relationship with have taught me much more than I ever would have thought. I never would have thought that I'd be in the presence of women who are brilliant, women who are smart and intelligent, and they do something, you know, that some may consider, you know,
unethical,
unholy, this, that, and the third. But you begin to have compassion and you begin to have empathy for people that you never would have thought, especially living in a household where, you know, the fruits of the Spirit was important and the Ten Commandments was important, and, you know, the Christian life in general was something that you lived by, you know, being from Southern Illinois. So it's taught me so much, just the journey, just going through the levels and the rigors of being a part of this life out here. It's a different ball of wax living in this area, you know, like, but it's constantly testing me. It constantly reminds me of how much better I need to be, how much more I need to be more compassionate with people, more patient, just being in that place of really looking in the mirror and, you know, analyzing myself. I remember when COVID happened and everybody was freaking out and, you know, all this stuff. And I was 350 pounds. And I got some cool opportunities doing some commercials and doing some stuff. But I was thinking, how bad do I want to do this in show business? How bad do I really want to be an actor?
I'm sorry, 350 pounds like muscle?
350 pounds of fat. I mean, I was big. But that's why I was a bodyguard, because I was so huge, 6'4", 350, going to Dubai, going to Qatar, going to, you know, London, guarding like a pop star guy that's doing all this stuff. That was appealing and it was cool, but was it healthy for me? And is this what I wanted to do with my life? You know what I mean? You get so lost in other things and you don't think about what you're here to do. And at that point, I was thinking about, I'm not working. They've shut down the operation. I had a situation with the team of that particular person, an artist. And I just started thinking, you know, I'm going to start running. I'm going to lose this weight. And in a year, I lost the weight. And I thought, you know what? I want to do a bodybuilding competition. I think, why not? I mean, it's only going to test me. Studios kind of put a hold on things because of COVID, blah, blah, blah. I want to start going into training to be a bodybuilder. And then that journey happened, where more levels of adversity, more things, more testing of, well, we like you, but you got to pay this, that, and the third. Oh, I like you, but the time the competition is starting, I don't particularly think you have enough time to really get to that level of posing. And so then I had to learn on my own.
So you said that you have your pro card.
I do. I have my pro card.
So what led up to that? Like how does a person get a pro card?
What you do is you look for opportunities through bodybuilding competitions that have open events. And the open events allow you to go on stage and do your thing. And if you're at, you get to a top 3, but if you win it, depending on the actual event, you get your pro card at that point. So I went my first time, it was physique. And I got second place. Yeah, got second place in physique. Some told me I should go back and do actual bodybuilding category, because you have physique, you have classic, and then you have bodybuilding. And I trained, and I went back the second year to Phoenix, Arizona, and I got my pro card.
So what's the difference between like all three, between like the physique, the classic, and just bodybuilding?
So physique is where the guys with the shorts are wearing. They're wearing shorts,
okay,
and they have they're all striated, but it's a lot. The waist is a lot more slim. They're more pretty in their poses. Everything's just crisp and pristine. Classic is an older style of bodybuilding, a smaller version of the bodybuilding category, but it's still in the same bandwidth of posing and things of that sort. And then you have bodybuilders who are bigger. Now this was natural, so I didn't go into the other organizations
like a Mr. Olympia or something like that.
Yeah, so that's a different organization. Either way, you're still putting in work. You always hear, this person's natty, he's not natty, this person this, that. I've seen people who are on the needle and people who are natty look better than them. You know what I mean? You still have to put the work in. You have to put the time in. You have to put the training in, the eating in. It doesn't, obviously, would people prefer to go natural than have to do that to their body, because ultimately what you're doing is destroying your body at the end of the day if you do that, just being real, right? But that's their choice. That is their prerogative. I'm not going to bash anyone who is choosing to take any anabolics or TRT or whatever it is they're taking. Peptides. Some can argue peptides are just as bad as anything else. Like, who knows, right? Now they're trying to put a stronghold on peptide supplements. So at the end of the day, it's what works for you, and it's what makes you feel good, but it's also making sure you go through the process like everybody else and put the work in. It's all about the work.